Okay, we're gonna try something new. New day, new idea, new webcam. The light's still not great. I thought I was gonna catch it, but I don't know. Maybe you can see it. I hope you can see it. I wanted to show Jenny's super stretchy bind off. I know that's not me. It's Jenny, Jeny, who has a really great bind off for socks, for the cover socks. And I decided that what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to show the figure 8 cast on, which I never used to like, and then all of a sudden decided I do like it. And then I'm going to knit for a bit, and then I'm going to show the super stretchy bind off. Okay. And I'm going to show it all on my Knit Picks needles, my Harmony Wood needles, and show how you use the tips and the cables and the cable connectors and the little key to tighten it and everything. See? I know, I'm crazy, I know. I don't even know how to open a bag, right? Okay. Size 5s. First, I'm going to hook 2 cables together using a cable connector because I'm going to show how to magic loop it. Really need more light in here. Okay. Now these have little holes on them, the cable connectors, and the cables have little holes. And I'm going to start by twisting it on by hand until I get it snug, and then, I need another key. So I'm going to put one key in one hole, and the other key in the other hole, and I'm going to, well, just to show you, I'm twisting them and using the keys to hold it and snug it up. So in other words, if you can watch this key, just you can tell I'm actually doing something, see, and then holding a finger here and holding a finger here and pushing. So we get them snug so they don't unhook. I'm going to do the same, and I suppose you could use the keys right from the start, but I don't see the point. Now, it's up above where you can see because I've got to twist it around, but it's the same thing. One key in the cable hole and one key in the cable connector hole. And then, again, opposite and snug them up. And I've lost these keys before, so I'm going to put them right back into my little I'm done. I only need one key now, but I do still need one key because I haven't put my tips on. I must have used this one before because it's already got a cable connector on one end. I forgot to take the cable connector off of that one. Okay, so now we put a key in the end of the cable. Hold it, my needle, and snug it. Same deal on this side. And the nice thing about this is, let's say you're making a shawl and you want to add more length, like say making a really big shawl and all this turns out to be not enough, you can slide all of this down, take one of the tips off, and add another cable. You know, if you've got more cables, you can add another cable to it, make it longer. Okay, keys gone, everything else gone, ball of yarn. And this is another thing I'd like to show sometime, is how I make a center pole ball of yarn. I run this myself, even though it's kind of funky. Okay, oh, there we go. Okay, as shown in the Sew Up 2 at a Time book that I have, I use a figure 8 cast on. It's not exclusive to the book. It's not, I don't make any claim that this is my invention, but it's around. And the kind of cheater way to do it is to make a slip knot. And that's kind of as you're getting used to it, because eventually you want to not have to make the little knot, because it's got a little knot in your thing, okay? But you make a slip knot, you slide it on there, and you kind of snug it up a little bit. And this is your yarn tail, which I will hang up to that direction, and I'm going to put that on what I'm going to call my top needle. So your yarn tail is going to go up, and the working yarn, so to speak, which will become your working yarn, is going to go under the bottom. So you're going to hold the yarn tail like this, and you're going to hold the working yarn with your thumb. Okay, so you're going to bring, and your yarn, your little slip knots on the top, so you're going to bring your, it's kind of hard to see, but this is what it looks like. So you're going to bring, whoop, you're going to keep that needle down there. Okay, I'm trying to make this to where we can see it. So you're going to bring the yarn tail yarn around and over that bottom needle. So now you have 1 and 1. That slip knot's kind of like as if you're making a stitch with your bottom working yarn. The working yarn's going to go underneath and around the top needle. As you down in between the needle, bring the working yarn underneath and over and between those two needles, and you've got 2 stitches on each one. So again, the working yarn is going to go underneath the top needle, over and around it, and then back in between those needles. Sorry, this is really hard. The yarn tail is going to go over the bottom needle, in between those needles. You've got 3. I'm going to keep going until I have 6 on each. It's usually a pretty good place to start. Over the top and in between. Over the bottom one and in between. Over the top, oh man, and in between. Over the bottom and in between. And there's 6 on each. And that's the figure 8 cast on. I'm going to show like the first round of knitting, and I might show a little bit of the increase, but then I'm gonna stop. Okay, so now you're gonna knit your first round with magic looping, and then this yarn tail thing, it's working yarn. Where's the yarn tail? Here's the yarn tail. The yarn tail thing, pull it down, straight down, and just pull it back toward the, for the left in my case. Unfortunately, I'm not, this is the way I knit. I can't teach the other way, like if you're left-handed, I'm sorry. But you're going to hold that, see how the yarn is going right there along the stitches underneath, and just hold it there with your hand. Okay, now you're going to take this needle here, well, the bottom needle, it's all part of one needle because it's circular, but this one here, and you're going to pull it out so you have enough to work with. And I'll show you what it's going to look like. See, you've got this hanging out that way. This tip is still where it was before, and you've got a loop here. Kind of like a butterfly when you're knitting, because you're going to have this loop here and this loop here. So it's kind of butterfly-ish. Okay, so you're holding your yarn tail back, and you're going to knit just regular into those stitches. So you're It's going to be hard because it's going to be tight because you've got 2 needles right there like that with stitches on them. And I'm knitting English because it's just the easiest way for me to knit right now. I'm going to tighten things up. Okay, that's the first stitch. Trying to keep my hands out of the way, but it's really rough. And I'm trying to keep that yarn pulled. I think the first stitch kind of locked it in though. Alright, so you've got the first side of your sock toe, very first row done. You're going to flip the yarn, or the whole deal around to where you've got these stitches on the top now, and this thing is hanging up here. And the first thing you need to do is pull that top part to where the needles are the same again. See? Back to the situation. Your yarn tail's over here now instead of over here. And you've got your row of stitches already worked are down here, so you're going to work these guys up here. So you're going to pull this bottom needle out again. And then now these stitches are going to be twisted. That's just the way they turn out when you do a figure 8 like that. The first one, because I've got this little knot, I just knit regular. If I do it that way with the slip stitch, I just knit that one regular. I probably shouldn't, but I do because I think it helps hide the knot. The second stitch is, it's kind of hard to see, but it's twisted. So it looks like I'm knitting in the back loop, and I am knitting in the back loop because the stitches are twisted on this side. So the rest of these stitches, I'm knitting kind of in the back loop because just from the way you twist the yarn around, they're twisted. And now you turn it around and you pull. And that's why you need a really long circular to do this, because the shorter your circular needle is, the more stress you're going to have on these 2 points here and here. It'll make holes in your sock or whatever you're making, but usually a sock. I don't know, mitten, glove, I don't know, well, not glove, mitten. And I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully I can keep it to where you can see it, and increase it, and then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to knit a little bit, and then I'm going to do some ribbing, and then we're going to do a Jenny's super stretchy bind off. Like I said, right now I prefer English. I'm going to make one with a backward loop cast on, and I need to kind of keep track of how I'm doing those right now because this is a sample. I'm not gonna go too much in detail about which way the make ones. And make one is different than increase one, I guess, in a way. Well, I mean, it's not different than increase one. Okay, make one is different than knit one through front and back loops, or knit one each, or knit through front and back. Make one is different than that. Make one or knit through back and front is going to give you a different kind of increase than a make one. A make one is either going to be a backward loop increase or knitting in the horizontal bar between stitches. At least that's my understanding of it. And then when you knit twice into one stitch, it causes a different look. So you can either make one with the backward loop like I did a minute ago, or you can knit into this stitch right here, or not the stitch, but the little horizontal bar between stitches. but the 12 2 at a time suggests my center pull bar is not being center pull ball is not being very cooperative for me today. A lot of times with a sock too, you can keep increasing each row for a while, and then you increase you can increase every other row. That seems to be the common practice here from what I'm seeing. My joins on these aren't very good. Sorry, I ended up there because I was doing something. Okay, so now we're back to the beginning. I've knit all, well, there were 12, now there should be 2, 4, 6, 7. What am I doing? 2, 4, 6, 7. I'm missing something somehow. Oh, I missed an increase there? I missed an increase there. How are we going to fix that? I don't know how we're going to fix that. But I'm going to keep going. Do one more row. I'm going to stop. And like I said, I would be knitting in a particular way and making sure my increases slanted a certain way and that sort of thing when I was actually making a sock too. Ugh, and this is like acrylic, so really not digging it. I'm just going to make sure there's 8 on each needle for this right now, even though that's kind of not where we're at. I know this is horrible, isn't it? This is not good. I'm going to have to write some nitpicks. I don't usually use the 5s. These are the 5s. I usually use the 4s. 2, 4, 6, 7. I usually use the 4s. Two, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's stop it for a minute. We'll come back and we'll finish everything.